"Quiet," the voice said, then said it louder. "Quiet!" There was a fire burning. I sensed a lot of people in a small room. There was the stench of blood, of burned bread, of wood smoke, and of rotted floor rushes. "He won't die," another voice said, but not close to me. "The spear broke his skull. I lifted the bone back. Now we must pray." "But I wasn't wounded in the skull," I said. "It's my chest. His sword went into my chest, low down on my left side." They ignored me. I wondered why I could not see. I turned my head, and there was a glow in the dark of my eyes. "Lord Uhtred moved." It was Ethelflaed's voice, and I became aware that her small hand was holding my left hand. "It was my chest," I said. "Tell them it was my chest. It wasn't my skull." "The skull heals," a man said, the same man who had talked about lifting the bone back. "It was my chest, you idiot," I said. "I think he's trying to speak," Ethelflaed said. There was something in my right hand. I tightened my fingers and felt the familiar roughness of the leather bindings. Serpent breath. I felt a wash of relief go through me, because whatever happened, I had held on to her, and my grip would carry me to Valhalla. "Valhalla," I said. "I think he's just moaning," a man said close by. "He'll never know he killed Knut," another man said. "He will know," Ethelflaed said fiercely. "My lady—" "He will know," she insisted, and her fingers tightened on mine. "I do know," I said. "I cut his throat, of course I know." "Just moaning," the man's voice said very close by. A cloth with rough weave was wiped across my lips. Then there was a gust of colder air, and the sound of people entering the room. A half-dozen people spoke at once. Then someone was close by my head, and a hand stroked my forehead. "He's not dead, Finan," Ethelflaed said softly. Finan said nothing. "I killed him," I said to Finan, "but he was fast, even faster than you." "Sweet Jesus," Finan said. "I can't imagine life without him." He sounded heartbroken. "I'm not dead, you Irish bastard," I said. "We have battles yet to fight, you and I." "Is he speaking?" Finan asked. "Just groaning," a man's voice answered, and I was aware that more folk had come into the room. Finan's hand went away, and another took its place. "Father?" It was Uhtred. "I'm sorry if I was cruel to you," I said, "but you're good. You killed Sigurd. Men will know you now." "Oh, dear God," Uhtred said. Then his hand went away. "Lord?" he said. "How is he?" That was King Edward of Wessex. There was a rustle as men went to their knees. "He can't last long," a man's voice said. "And Lord Ethelred?" "The wound is grievous, Lord, but I think he will live." "God be praised. What happened?" There was a pause as if no one wanted to answer. "I'm not dying," I said, and no one took any notice. "Lord Ethelred was attacked by a group of Danes, Lord," a man said, "at the end of the battle. Most were surrendering. These tried to kill Lord Ethelred." "I see no wound," the king said. "The back of his skull, Lord. The helmet took most of the blow, but the tip of the spear went through." The back of his skull, I thought. It would be the back of his skull. I laughed. It hurt. I stopped laughing. "Is he dying?" a voice close by asked. Ethelflaed's fingers gripped mine hard. "He's just choking," she said. "Sister," the king said. "Be quiet, Edward," she said fiercely. "You should be at your husband's side," Edward said sternly. "You boring little fart," I told him. "I am where I wish to be," Ethelflaed said in a tone I knew well. No one would win an argument with her now, and no one tried, though a voice muttered something about her behaviour being unseemly. "They're rancid shitwits," I told her, and felt her hand stroke my forehead. There was silence except for the crackle of the burning logs in the hearth. "Has he been given the rights?" the king asked after a while. "He doesn't want the rights," Finan said. "He must have them," Edward insisted. "Father Uhtred?" "His name isn't Uhtred," I snarled. "He's called Father Judas. The bastard should have been a warrior." Yet, to my surprise, Father Judas was weeping. His hands shook as he touched me, as he prayed over me, as he administered the death rites. When he finished, he left his fingers on my lips. "He was a loving father," he said. "Of course I wasn't," I said. "A difficult man," Edward said, though not unsympathetically. "He was not difficult," Ethelflaed said fiercely, "but he was only happy when he was fighting, and you were all frightened of him, but in truth he was generous, kind, and stubborn." She was crying now. "Oh, do stop it, woman," I said. "You know I can't bear weeping women." "Tomorrow we go south," the king announced, "and we shall give thanks for a great victory." "A victory Lord Uhtred gave you," Ethelflaed said. "That he gave us," the king agreed, "and that God allowed him to give us. And we shall build burhs in Mercia. There is God's work to do." "My father would want to be buried at Bebbanburg," Father Judas said. "I want to be buried with Gisela," I said, "but I'm not dying." I could not see, not even the glow of the fire. Or rather, I could only see a great vault that was both dark and light at the same time. A cave shot through with strange lights, and somewhere in the far recesses of that glowing darkness were figures, and I thought Gisela was one, and I gripped serpent breath as the pain tore through me again so that I arched my back, and that made the pain worse. Ethelflaed gasped, and clung to my hand, and another hand closed about the grip I had on serpent breath, holding me tight to her. "He's going," Ethelflaed said. "God take his soul." It was Finan who was holding my hand to serpent breath's hilt. "I am not," I said. "I am not." And the woman in the cave was alone now, and it really was Gisela. Lovely Gisela. And she was smiling at me, holding her hands towards me, and she was speaking, though I could not hear her voice. "Be quiet, all of you," I said. "I want to hear Gisela." "Any moment," a voice said in a hushed tone. A long pause. A hand touched my face. "He still lives. God be praised," Father Judas said uncertainly. Then there was another silence. A long silence. Gisela had faded, and my eyes stared at misted nothingness. I was aware of people around the bed. A horse neighed, and out in the dark an owl called. "Wyrd bith full aræd," I said, and no one answered, so I said it again. "Wyrd bith full aræd."